Hello, my name is Kevin Williams, and this is a small presentation on the preparation for a job interview. In today's society, employment is one of the main ways that we sustain a livelihood for ourselves, as far as accommodating our home, as far as paying for college, as far as paying for food, as far as just our life in general. And the only way to sustain employment is to have a job interview. What is a job interview? A job interview is a face-to-face moment with you and the employer to ask you questions, to kind of feel you out as a person, to decide whether or not you are the right fit for their company. Great interviews generally to gainful employment, meaning you impress the boss, you impress the people who are giving you the interview, and they give you a job with a salary or an hourly rate that fits what you need to thrive as an individual. Having a successful interview is everything you need to gain successful employment. And there are 3 steps to having a successful interview. And those steps are doing company research, presenting yourself with the proper attire, and practicing on those questions that you anticipate that they are going to actually ask you in the interview. So moving forward, the first step would be research. Doing research on the company is the first way to solidify yourself as an interest in this company or in this employer which you are reaching for to gain employment. Doing research provides a sense of confidence for you during the interview. Having knowledge and knowing what you need to know before entering the room gives you a sense of confidence. It gives you a sense of assurance in what you are doing as far as having a great and successful interview. And being comfortable and confident in front of the employer shows that you have great interest in the job in which that you are applying for. And also learning a few extra things about the company also lets you know whether or not you would be a good fit for the company yourself. Learning things like the motto of the company, or learning the mission statement of the company, or learning the morale of the company. It generally lets you know whether or not you're in the right place for the type of employment that you are looking for. The second step to gaining a great employment or doing well in an interview is the proper attire and the proper dress. Proper attire. So the proper attire and the way that you present yourself, it kind of sets the tone of your personality. It gives your employer the first look at what they will see in you as a representative for their company. Most of the time when you're dressing up for an interview, the proper clothing to wear is more of a formal attire. For men, you can wear a shirt, a tie, slacks, a suit jacket, maybe nice dress shoes, at the least a shirt, a tie, and a nice pair of slacks. For women, we want to wear a nice dress, nothing too revealing, nothing too short. We want to look as if we're probably going to a church service or something of that nature. But the main thing about it is, as far as attire, we want to present ourselves the right way. We just want to look professional. It doesn't have to be formal, but we want to look professional. All jobs have different levels of the way that you need to look when you want to do well in a job interview. With healthcare interviews, I work in healthcare. So with healthcare interviews, it's good to wear a shirt and tie, but some employers don't require you to wear a shirt and tie. Some employers require you to wear scrubs. Consider the fact that I work in healthcare, wearing a nice set of professional scrubs for an interview, which is probably not going to last long, is a great way to honestly initiate walking into an interview. Another way that you may not think that adds along to proper attire is how you present yourself within itself. Are you speaking formally? Does your tone of voice match the outfit that you're wearing? Are you exuding good energy? Are you happy? You're not sad? It's just the way that you present yourself in interviews mean everything. And like I previously stated, it sets the tone for your personality and shows what the employer are going to be looking at as a representative for their initial company. Moving forward, with the last step would be preparing for the anticipated question that you think that your interviewer are going to ask. Now, in interviews, there can be more than one there can be more than one type of interview. You have normal face-to-face interviews, considering the fact that there's a COVID. You have web interviews, and then you have mock interviews. And that's one thing that I wanted to point out as well. A mock interview is where you have a panel of the employers, then they actually sit in front of you and ask you questions individually to see maybe where would you fit better in their particular category on the employer side. Would you fit better in this department? Would you fit better in that department? So it's always good to be ready for those anticipated questions. Most of the time, those anticipated questions will be open-ended questions. And open-ended questions are questions that require more than a yes or a no answer. So they would not just ask you whether or not are you having a good day, are you having a bad day. No, they would probably ask you questions like, what would be a strength and a weakness that you can guarantee to have when it comes to applying for this position that you're interested in. Another normal question that they ask during interviews is name a conflict that you face on the job, or a problem that you encountered on the actual job, and what did you do to fix it? How did you solve your problem? How did you end the conflict? What would you do next time to reevaluate the situation and do better in solving the problem in which that you came upon at the job? So yes, those anticipated questions, those are a great way to really solidify the job. Being able to answer the questions, being knowledgeable, being confident, presenting yourself the right way, once again, are surefire ways, are almost guaranteed ways for you to gain great employment. So bringing this to an end, with a job employment, or with employment with itself, doing well with a job interview is going to be the first means of employment that a lot of us have today. I can remember my first interview. I was 16 years old. My first job was at McDonald's. I was very nervous. And all the way up until today, when I had the job interview that I had this time, I wasn't as nervous because I researched. I presented myself well. I wore a shirt and tie. I researched the company. I was ready for those questions at the end. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I was going into the dialysis field, and I had already prepared to be asked questions about that dialysis field. Face-to-face interviews to this day have existed for almost 100 years, if not longer than that. And the process hasn't changed now, and I don't see it changing in the foreseeable future. The only way that I see that interviews are going to change is the fact that they're becoming more web-based due to COVID. But now that COVID is turning around, I feel like they are going to go back to that original state of interviews. Whenever you decide to go into an interview, employers expect to be impressed when they're looking for their right candidate. When they want their candidate, they already have a mindset. They already have an idea of what they want and who you want to be when you're walking into that interview. So you have to ask yourself before you go in the interview, or ask yourself even after the interview was completed. Would I hire me? How was my performance in that interview? Did I do well? And if you answer yes to those questions, then I guarantee you are going to get the job.